Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. We're expecting Eileen Delrossi to call in a little bit. And then later, Melanie Gilbert will be here. The weather, it was raining right up until I left the house. And now it's not raining, but still, it's cold and damp.
Morning at 5? Oh boy, it was coming down wicked good. I would call it a deluge.
Well, I could hear it in the house. I could hear the rain outside. So today was an unlucky day back in 1536 for Anne Boleyn, the Queen of England. She was arrested and imprisoned on charges of adultery, incest, treason, and witchcraft.
What year was this frisky queen alive?
1536.
She was the queen of where?
England?
Oh, wow. Somebody didn't like her.
Yeah. Today in 1611, the King James Version of the Bible was published for the first time. You know, the King James, it's the one St. Paul used.
Good old St. Paul.
Yeah,
He should have opened McDonald's.
should have. In 1863, in the American Civil War, Stonewall Jackson was wounded by friendly fire while returning to camp, and he'd been out reconnoitering during the Battle of Chancellorsville. He died of pneumonia 8 days later. A lot of people in the Civil War died because of poor medical treatment. In 1945, during World War II, a death march from Dachau to the Austrian border was halted by the segregated Nisi 5 22nd Field Artillery Battalion of the U.S. Army in southern Bavaria, saving several hundred prisoners.
Hey, Cliff, do you have coming up a report about the judge that was charged with helping the migrant sneak out of the courtroom?
No.
She looks very sorry in this picture.
Yep.
I guess they must have told her something that made her very sad. I don't know what it is, but this is Boston Municipal Court Judge Shelley Joseph walking out of courtroom yesterday. Sad day.
Was this was about a migrant, not about the Boston judge that released the Tesla torching individual from Oklahoma.
No, I think it's the Boston case.
Oh, okay.
Well,
But
they
a
let the person
Boston
up-
judge released this person claiming...
Allegedly.
Allegedly what?
Allegedly released the person out the side door.
Huh.
You weren't there, I wasn't there,
Yeah?
so it's alleged.
You don't trust the news?
Cliff, I know news people very well. And they'll make up a nice story. We have a lot of news stories for you. What's a story? The Three Bears, Goldilocks, is a story. Most of the news you hear is not backed up. Yesteryear, in like the 1970s and the 1980s, the news was backed up by somebody. Someone would confirm this stuff really happened. That's all gone by the wayside now. Well, Melanie will tell us more when she comes. Be interesting to ask her.
Yes.
She's motoring here now.
Okay, in 1945 also, Soviet Union announced the fall of Berlin. on this day. And then in 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster, the city of Chernobyl was evacuated in the aftermath.
Wow, it doesn't sound like it's 40 years ago. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Time flies.
The thing that in 1989 that really stuck in my mind was Hungary began dismantling its border fence with Austria, which allowed a number of East Germans to defect to the West. That just stands out in my mind. In the year 2000, President Bill Clinton announced that accurate GPS access would no longer be restricted to the United States military, which is a boon to drivers everywhere. In 2011, Osama bin Laden, the suspected mastermind behind the September 11th attacks, and the FBI's most wanted man, was killed by U.S. Navy SEALs in Abbottabad, Pakistan. Today in 1892, Manfred von Richthofen was born.
Cliff, here
Was it Monday was his the anniversary of his death?
I don't know. Who are you talking about?
Manfred von Richthofen, the Red Baron.
Oh. I just know him from Snoopy.
1903, Benjamin Spock, who gave us the polio vaccine, was born.
Hey, this is a video of Don't Mess With Mama. There's the alligator, there's the baby elephant, and there's the mother. Might be the dad. I don't know if mothers have tusks or not. But this is pretty cool. So you don't mess with Mama. She told him where the dog died. That was good. I mean, the kid teased the alligator, thinking he could play with the alligator, and the mother knows, no, you don't play with alligators. Pretty cool stuff. Back to you, Cliff. Thanks.
Okay. In 1519, Leonardo da Vinci passed away. He'd been born in 1453.
And they'll be using his big room next week, the Da Vinci Chapel.
In
Voted the new Pope.
Right. In 1972, J. Edgar Hoover, first director of the FBI, passed away. He'd been born in 1895. And surprisingly, in 2014, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., who's an American actor, passed away. And in my mind, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.'s biggest role was as Inspector Erskine of the FBI.
I love that show.
Yeah.
He was walking down the Capitol steps at the beginning of the show. I thought that was FBI headquarters.
So today's the feast day of Athanasius of Alexandria. It's International Harry Potter Day. I don't think I've ever read a Harry Potter book. Have you?
I don't know which Alexandria you were just talking about. No, I have not.
Alexandria,
Greece?
in Egypt.
Egypt, okay.
And today is World Tuna Day.
World Tuna Day.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of having a large tuna today for lunch. Where would you, now, do you enjoy tuna?
Yeah.
So if you get a tuna torpedo, where do you get yours from, Cliff?
I don't get tuna torpedoes. I have tuna sandwiches on Canadian just eat it that way.
Okay.
Tuna salad.
Okay.
I sent you a political cartoon.
Yeah, you did. That might be in. It might be Facebook you sent. I'll look.
Because it was a comment on the Canadian parliamentary election. The Liberals won, maybe due to Donald Trump. That'd be unfortunate.
No, I think you sent a regular text message. I'll go over there and look.
Yeah. So the Lowell Sun had a cartoon, political cartoon, talking about President Trump and the 51st state, and showing the fact that the U.S. media is out of step with the rest of the world. The cartoon said that if they had to deal with Canada, if it became the 51st state, it would be blue. But in fact, in Canada, it's red. The Liberals are red. That's their party color. The Conservatives are blue. Which, I don't know how the Republicans got red and the Democrats got blue in the United States.
The media. No surprise there.
Well, they had a little backwards.
We got this. Okay, I got the cartoon here that you're talking about.
Yep, that's the one.
If you want Canada to be the 51st state, it's going to be a blue one. But you say it's Republican?
No, I say the progressives won in Canada, but in Canada, the progressives' identifying color is red.
Okay, well, what do they call themselves progressive?
They call themselves liberal.
But they're progressives.
Yeah.
And what is the opposing side?
They're conservatives and their color is blue.
Conservatives. In the U.S., the conservatives are the Republicans.
Right.
Wait, they got it backwards, or we got it backwards. All these foggy terms just make it confusing.
We have it backwards. As John mentioned, the Pope's buried, and now we're going to have a conclave sometime between the 6th and 11th of May. It'll begin in the Sistine Chapel. John and I have both been there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They'll all be sealed in. People won't be able to wander in and out except for food deliveries.
They won't be doing interviews.
John and I are eligible, but I don't think we're likely to be selected.
Well, you could be a pope, too.
What?
You could be a pope.
That's what I just said.
Oh, I thought you said we could be one of the voters. Misunderstood you.
No, I'm sorry. I meant to say we could be selected.
It's more likely they'll pick a woman than pick a regular guy. Because, as I've said before, most women are superior thinkers to men.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a wise thing to give a woman a chance.
Did you see where in the United Kingdom they're working on a plan to blot out the sun through some sort of geoengineering to combat climate change?
No, I can do that every day. In 1965, Fairmount Street was paved to the delight of the residents. In 1965, that's Jay talking about history and all.
Jay, I'm not so much concerned about Fairmount as I am Porter.
What's the matter with Porter?
It cost me $386. I hit a pothole that damaged the tire and I had to replace it.
Did you contact the city about reimbursement?
No, I haven't.
I believe they will.
I'll give them a call.
I don't know how much information you need to get a free tire out of the city, but it can be done.
Oh. That would help me balance the checkbook. That'd be good.
Yep.
Yeah, going down Porter Street, I had been going down Sherman Street like I did this morning, but going down Porter at around noontime, there's a school bus and I'm sorry, going down Sherman, there's a school bus parked on High Street and it sort of blocks the view. So, so I tried Porter to see what it would be like.
How was it? Holy?
Holy.
Sad. I had a good one the other day, but
You what?
I hit a pretty good pothole,
Yeah.
and right out of the blue, bam! Wow, that was a real bad one. But nothing happened to the car, so I was happy. Hey,
Well-
did you go to Belinda's party last night?
No.
Okay.
I went to the License Commission.
Oh, how was it?
It was quick and
How did the underage thing go with the Blue Shamrock?
we do that on the 15th.
So nothing happened on that last night.
We accepted the memo from the law department on,
Can you summarize that memo, or is that top secret now?
oh no, it's not top secret, and unfortunately I left the memo at home. But basically it said that underage people are allowed in the establishment.
That's true.
Hmm?
That's true, because it's a restaurant. Every bar is a restaurant first.
In Lowell, yes.
Well, I thought that was a nationwide thing. I thought they all had to have food, no? Wow, I'm surprised.
Now, I'm not sure it's nationwide.
Okay, so please continue.
So the fact that there were underage people in the establishment is not a violation of our rules. If they were being served, it would be a
They're
violation.
being served alcohol.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And is that what's being accused, or you haven't been able to review the actions yet?
The accusation was there were two young women underage at the bar, but they had not yet been served.
So you have breakfast here, a big bowl of nut and honey.
It may well be that way.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes on the 15th. Nick Petrarca showed up at the meeting and last night, and he did get to speak.
And who is he?
He is the manager of the Blue Shamrock.
Okay. Did he speak?
He did, but we were not prepared to take any actions because the hearing had been kicked down the road to the 15th.
Now,
And therefore, there was nothing on the agenda for us to act on.
how long was your meeting?
15 minutes.
Done? You guys should just Zoom. It ain't even worth parking your car.
Someone suggested that to me yesterday, but the fact is, it's a public meeting and open to the public, and therefore it's we meet in the council chambers so that people can come in, sit down, pay attention,
I've been to one of your meetings, but if there's nothing on the agenda, you should just Zoom.
and We had 2 public hearings, and
Who's your paid guy? You got a city guy who works for you, right?
yes,
He'd be sitting in the chamber.
he should what?
So he'd be sitting in the chamber,
Yeah.
and the rest of you guys are on Zoom.
But the 5 of us are friendly, and we enjoy the actual interaction.
If that were true, you'd have a buffet, and there'd be more people attending. Don't you have? You have no buffet, no pizza. Couldn't you go to Espresso's and get like a large pizza?
Could.
I think that would give a nice idea, because I used to go down there with a guy. John, not Aubrey, I'm having a brain cramp. Where's last Monday Night Dinner Club? John and I would go to different city meetings and would bring a pizza. We'd sit there eating our pizza. It was nice. Just an idea. 15 minutes and you were done?
Yeah, and the last meeting lasted, I'd say 55 minutes.
Yeah. Pizza. Don't you think a pizza would be nice? What kind of pizza would you like?
Sausage, pepperoni, and mushrooms.
Ah. Well, you should poll your brother and sister board members and consider it. There's plenty of pizza places.
All licensed by us.
Yeah, and just say, like once a week. What do you guys, once a month, you guys? What the heck does that mean? Don't hold that to your head, Cliff.
Twice.
Twice a month. I think they could run a pizza down there. Before the meeting starts, you guys have a nice pizza, and anybody who else is there, they can enjoy some pizza.
Yeah.
And what's left over, you take home. Just an idea. I got a question coming up for you.
Oh, good.
How many bars serve alcohol to minors that don't get caught? It's a question from the audience. A text.
I have no idea.
Okay, give me a guess, Mr. Licensee. A guess. A wag, which I refer to as a wild ass guess.
An honoristic estimate. Hello, Eileen? Hang on. Okay, I've got you on the speaker now.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
So did you have a rough night, kiddo?
I've had a rough week getting used to getting back to work and just, yeah, like this week is like back down to reality after a week of being sick and then having April school vacation last week. And yeah, it's been a week.
But you going to work today?
Yes.
Okay. Did you enjoy the rain at 5 a.m. this morning, or were you just having your beauty sleep at that time?
Say that again, John?
Wait, did you enjoy the rain at 5 a.m., or were you working on your beauty sleep at that time?
I was actually wide awake at like 4:30 a.m. and then I fell back to sleep and then I was like, oh my God, it's light out. Something is off. And then, so yeah, I was enjoying my beauty sleep.
Okay. So I'm being asked now, what's my favorite pizza? Well, last night we had a thin crust pizza with extra red sauce from Espresso's. That's one of my favorites. And my other favorite is a
Did you say thin crust pizza?
thin crust pizza from Espresso's and with extra red sauce. Oh, it goes down so good. And then the other one is a Lowell House of Pizza. I got a Georgia style pizza. It's a special, and I believe we're having that this evening. At George's, it's Lowell House of Pizza at the corner of Broadway and School, and oh my God, I love their pizza. Abraham, he's the owner, and quite the guy. Him and his wife, they were always in the store and putting out great stuff. So that's on the ledger for this evening. We shall see. Eileen, what kind of pizza do you like? Where do you go?
I love espressos, but it's always like a bigger thing to like go there and pick it up. But I never heard of espressos having a thin crust pizza.
Yeah. Well, Frank and Lee Cavallo used to own the place. I remember sitting down talking to Frank one morning. Have you ever tried their breakfast pizza?
Oh yes.
Oh, that is back in the WCAB days when it was across the street. We used to get a breakfast pizza, George Anthes and I, and poor Morris Cohen would come in and yell at us because you're not supposed to have food in the studio. But we had a lot of laughs down there. But that breakfast pizza at Espressos is good stuff.
Does it have Cheerios sprinkled across?
No, it's got
Eggs, bacon.
ham, eggs, bacon. Yummy. Should try one. Maybe next Friday.
Maybe not.
You don't like that? You wouldn't eat it?
So I think the most interesting pizza place is Pizza by the Meter
In Italy.
in Italy.
Well, not many of us are going to make it over there for the weekend. So what kind of pizza would you get there, Cliff?
A lot of pizza.
A lot of pizza.
Yeah, but when I lived in Italy, my favorite was Michelangelo's, and you drive up, they'd cook the pizza, fold it in half, wrap it in a newspaper, and put it on the floor of the back seat and go home and have pizza.
Now I got some text coming through. Hands down, pizza is the best thing that ever hit our shores. And then a second text, the pizza buffet at Pizza Hut used to be the best thing on Rogers Street.
Whoever said that, I completely agree with them. I missed that. That Pizza Hut buffet, oh, loved it.
Now, espresso, thin crust, well done. Forget about it. Oh, no, we didn't get it well done. We get it regular, and oh, it's fabulous. Delicious.
So, Eileen, now that you're awake, what's the story on Karen Reed this week?
Oh, the defense is killing it. They actually had yesterday off, but they've really been able to. The defense is the new strategy from what they learned from the jurors that have come forward of what really confused them last trial and why there was an essential mistrial. That you can tell they took all of that information and are really like hitting home with the key points, and they found that even like the most minute witnesses of that maybe defense from last trial that maybe the defense never even cross-examined, that they lied. Their reports were a little off, and they've been able to, I think, impeach every single witness. And this week they had the ARCA witnesses come in for voir dire, and they agreed, Auntie Bev, or the judge, agreed to allow the ARCA witnesses to testify.
And
The
what?
The accident, the ARCA witnesses who the federal, who the FBI actually hired in the first place to look into this whole situation, they're going to allow them to testify.
So this is the accident reconstruction experts.
Yes.
Right.
Also known as the crash daddies.
Okay. And what's this about Turtle Boy being called up by somebody and intimidated or attempted intimidation?
Yeah, they're saying because of his YouTube channel that he's pushing the limits and it's a form of witness intimidation. because he has strong opinions, but it's really his First Amendment right. And it's like John, like, when you express your opinion of, the city or whatever, they're saying, like, you can't do that because it's a form of witness intimidation. Even though he has his own YouTube channel and people subscribe to him, and like he shares his experiences with the police, and they put him in jail for 2 months, so he has some strong opinions about some of those police, and they're saying and he's expressed that on his show, and they're saying that's a form of witness intimidation. But what also happened is that, yes, one of the key witnesses for the state, they found out Jennifer McCabe, who's on the stand right now in the trial, is saying, like, should only testify if they put Turtle Boy in jail. So it's a very convoluted situation.
Yeah.
Well, did they go after the TV stations for their interpretation of the trial? I don't think so. Pick on somebody your own size. Judge.
Yeah.
Pick on Channel 10 and see what happens.
So,
Yeah.
have we heard anything additional about this supposed serial killer up this way?
I still really haven't got into it, but I know Nancy Grace had a special on it, and I love Nancy Grace, so I'm going to watch it so I can get in tune with you.
Okay. Monday. Put that off till Monday. So, when you called, we were talking about the British government is looking at spraying stuff in the atmosphere to block the sun as a way of dealing with global warming, which to me raises the question, what could go wrong? And I'm afraid everything. But John, did you have an opinion on that?
Sorry, Clint, I'm fanning through. I was looking for Belinda Duran's party last night to put it up on the screen, and I wasn't closely paying attention. What is the issue? Would you like me to speak about?
The British are going to spray material in the atmosphere, hoping it spreads out and blocking the sun to reduce global warming.
Don't do it. Don't. We already messed with the planet. Okay? Switch to, it's spraying stuff up there and continuing your lifestyle, just not a good plan. They're not going to change their lifestyle in merry old England. Love them over there. Had a lot of fun in merry old England. I have some friends, a lot of Undertaker buddies over there. And the government's going crazy. Put the king back in charge. That's my tip.
Yeah.
And a comment from the audience, if we block the sun, how will solar panels work? Good point.
Not that well.
Unless you're in England.
So some judge down in Texas has blocked the administration from going after TDA, the Trinidad Aragua, the Venezuelan gang, from deporting them as resident aliens, claiming that the president doesn't have the authority. I assume in the back of my mind that the judge is basing this on an intel report that came out from the intelligence community. Well, 18 or so of those intelligence agencies, everyone except the FBI said that the Tren de Aragua TDA is not linked to the Venezuelan government. So there goes Trump's Alien Enemies Act as a way of deporting. So I don't know where that's going to go.
A comment from the audience, they told us to get solar panels, and now they want us to block the sun. Turn off the horrible news. That's from Jay. Thank you, Jay. I'll put the text, people are saying, you're making the text up. No, I don't make the text up.
No.
So I'll put them up. So you got any weekend plans, Cliff? The rain is
Weekend
putting a
plan.
damper on stuff.
Yeah, I've got to make a big dent in this book I'm reading. I think I made a note to talk about this in the second hour, but I found a book I wanted to read, but it was not available on Kindle. It was just available in paperback. I bought it. I bought a magnifying glass. I got 48 pages in using the magnifying glass, but less than a week ago, well, I think last Friday, a week ago actually, I went to the publisher's website. I found some guy's name and email address, and I wrote to him and I said, is there any chance this is available in some sort of Kindle version? And he wrote back and said, yeah, we'll make it available to you and we'll comp it. So yesterday I got an email saying that I could download the Kindle version. And for me, it reads a lot easier.
Well, Cliff, it's just the way of the world nowadays. My wife, and she loves her electronic book. And she's probably on her, she used to have a gigantic one, and it wouldn't charge anymore, so she bought another one, but they don't make the big one anymore. I don't know what happened to that, but they don't make the big one anymore.
When you say big, do you mean like Ralph Finaro?
It was the size of
Big?
an iPad,
Oh,
the original one. And this is a comment from the audience. I think Mr. Krieger got it wrong. He meant to say honor student from MS-13. Thank you for your comment.
that was funny. I liked it. So, I am seeing people are starting to joke about this MS-13. I saw somebody had doctored up a picture of Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi with MS-13 tattooed to their foreheads. So, but okay, just to make life interesting, somebody using data from the James Webb Space Telescope looked out 120 light years from Earth, and they detected signs of telltale biosignatures of microbial life on an ocean-covered planet that could be teeming with life. That's pretty interesting. So,
And we define life as microbes, right? Little small things you need a magnifying glass to see?
yeah,
Okay. I'm looking
living
for,
organisms.
I'm looking for caveman, like walking around, talking to people. That's the kind of life I'm looking for.
Okay.
I mean, we spent $6 billion and we found a planet that has microbes on it that are smaller than ants. I don't care. Thoughts, Cliff? Do you think that's a good idea? Spend $6 billion and go find something that's smaller than an ant?
I think so.
Okay. What's the gain?
Better understanding of the universe.
And like these things are going to talk to us and explain themselves to us, or you're going deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole here, Cliff.
What if,
Don't you think we're really looking for human type of people, human type of beings?
humanoids, yeah.
We're not looking for ants.
No.
Okay.
But it's a signpost.
Okay. I use Waze. I don't use signposts anymore.
Okay. So, Eileen. Eileen?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Have you been following this little kerfuffle with regard to the 6 women sent out into space?
No.
They really didn't go to space, did
I
they?
have seen like clips of it, but I really haven't seen anything more.
So, someone who I don't know, but a model, Emily Ratajkowski, says she's disgusted literally with the all-female space flight. It was a Blue Origin NS-31. It lasted 11 minutes, flew up to 60 miles above the surface of the Earth, which means that it passed the Kármán line, which is at 62 miles. It defines the boundary of Earth and space. So it included Laura Sanchez, the fiancée of Jeff Bezos, who owns it, journalist Gail Kings.
That's one way to get rid of your girlfriend, huh?
Yeah. Singer Katy Perry and a couple of other women. So it's so much money to go to space, Olivia Munn said during a TV show, adding that all the rocket fuel can't be good for the planet. There's a lot of people who can't even afford eggs. I think it's a bit gluttonous. So,
Well, if you look at the drill down effect of this technology, a lot of people got a nice job out of this. And a lot of people, their kids, they're getting to buy themselves a new Chevy today, and their kids are going to college. And sadly, the people you're referring to that can't afford to buy eggs, that's because we have an educational system that doesn't teach personal finance. Back over to Eileen. Personal finance. Teach it.
Yeah.
Teach it.
It's something that I don't think, when you're a kid, you think your parents take care of everything, and then, all of a sudden you're in charge of taking care of your own stuff, and it's hard because, I think kids need more of a responsibility to pay certain things, whether it be like a phone bill or something that they own. They need more accountability and paying for things when they're younger to kind of get it. Because, being a teacher, kids don't understand anything anymore. Even if you're trying to teach them something, they're not retaining it. So I think it needs to be both a home and a school effort.
Good point. I got 2 texts I'm going to read to you. And the first one, I'm going to blow this guy up so you can see it. Whoop, wrong way. Here we go. How much did it cost each individual to go on space trip for the? I think they all went for free. I think that guy Bezos paid for the whole thing. Did you hear anything different to that, Cliff?
yeah, he paid for the whole thing.
So it cost them zippity doodah.
But it cost a couple $1 million to put to send them up there.
Yeah, but it was free napkins to them. So they were going to send Rosie O'Donut, but there wasn't enough space. No, she's over at merry old England. And Mary Old England wants to deport her back to the
Wait.
U.S.
She's in Ireland.
Thank you, Cliff. Back to you.
And they apparently will accept just about anybody in Ireland. Well,
I'm hearing they're trying to kick her out.
entirely possible.
I guess I should have said Europe.
Yeah.
He moved over to Europe and they're trying to kick her out.
So, on the other hand, what's his name? Elon Musk, who sends a lot of rockets into space. When the hurricane hit the Carolinas, he made his Starlink communication satellites available to all the locals. So, yeah, we're spending money and rocket fuel going out into space, but it's also doing some good. I
We
think.
use Starlink. We have a Starlink connection.
Ah,
Works fabulously. My son Joe, he uses it. He's going out to Utah next month. And every night, whenever he stops, he turns on his Starlink and communicates with the world.
Who does that allow you to communicate with?
It's an internet connection in the middle of the desert where you have no connectivity through a satellite. And it's very fast, just as fast as at home. Good stuff. Starlink.
so the Ukraine war. I see we've apparently signed the deal with Ukraine on mineral rights, which invests the United States even more in the success of Ukraine. I think it seems to me that President Putin might appear to President Trump to be screwing around, and I don't think Trump is going to be happy with that. He may try and end the war some other way. Anybody else have any thoughts on Ukraine?
The Russians have been lying since the days of Moses. What makes you think they're going to change their attitude? They're liars. The Russian government.
No. Well, I'm more cynical than you. All
What?
governments lie.
Cynical? Did you say cynical?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in what way?
I think all governments are prone to lying about things.
Well, people just make up a story to float your idea out of the room, to get you out of their hair. They make up a nice story.
In Gaza, I saw with the head of the Palestinians from the PLO has the Palestinian thought. Go ahead.
If they send Rosie into space, she won't be in Ireland anymore, will she? They'll be going to need a bigger rocket. Hey, we all want to look like Bobby and Ken.
So the head of the Palestinian Authority has called on Hamas to disarm. That I mean, I don't see how Israel can.
Israel's lying too. They blowing up. They're killing people who don't have weapons on the ground. And I told you the story, and I'll remind you. Flying. I don't know. I was going to a convention. I was going to someplace. So flying someplace, and the gal next to me would get chit chatting. So I'm paging through this magazine. And the war in Israel, I said, oh, look, that's terrible. That tank ran over that ambulance. That the Israelis, they got to really re-examine why they're killing people. And the girl sitting next to me says, there was a bomb in that ambulance. That's why they ran that ambulance over. There was a bomb and they knew it. Pretty bad stuff over there. They kill innocent people. Should not be doing that. My take.
Are the Palestinians innocent if they're supporting terrorism?
How are they supporting terrorism? Give me some good proof of that.
Hamas
Okay, look.
is their government?
Massachusetts, loaded with Blue Seal Democrats.
Yeah.
So you support the Democrats. Same line of thinking, Cliff.
I don't support the Democrats.
Yes, you do. You're in Massachusetts. Then why don't you move out of the state?
Well, actually, I'm a person who's running in opposition to the Blue Democrats.
Cliff, you're supporting living. So the perception of the Palestinians is, and from your view, is they support the Hamas. And most Palestinians are like most Lowellians. They couldn't care less. They're stuck living here. This is where their house is. This is where their family is. They're stuck in Lowell. We're stuck with a city manager that costs $1,000 a day. We're stuck with it. We're stuck with a city council that thinks money grows on trees. They've forgotten that Lowell is a lot of poor people. So I'll get off my wagon here. No, I'll change camera. I'll watch for Melanie on the cameras.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
What kind of donuts do you guys want?
Are you coming?
Yeah, I was gonna come for a little bit
Okay.
before I go to bed.
Well, let's see. Melanie might bring something. So you know what? I'd say bring nothing. What do you think, Cliff?
I'm with you, John.
Melanie might bring a treat. So let's depend on Melanie too.
Okay.
Fly over here and I'm going to watch the camera that watches the back door.
So,
See, we're watching the back door now. This is Cliff's car. And that's the red door that came in. You locked it, right, Cliff?
yes.
Okay, so I'll watch that camera.
So we have a possible war on the subcontinent between India and Pakistan. Have you been following that, John?
There is one country over there. They're fighting like cats and dogs. Oh, the cruise ships go there. Haiti. Haiti's crazy, man. Have you seen Haiti? The government's just killing people there. Uniformed people walking up with their machine guns, just killing people. Crazy.
Yeah.
And Haiti would not exist if it wasn't for the cruise industry going to visit Haiti. And a place called Puerto Plata, completely overrun, but with hoodlums and craziness going on in Puerto Plata. And if you've been on a cruise, you've been to Puerto Plata. And bad government. So that's why we need to elect better people to run the United States government, or we'll turn into Haiti someday. But tell us more about the war you were talking about, Cliff.
India and Pakistan,
They're mad at each other?
they're mad at each other.
Okay. And they're going to send their children to go and fight. The leaders aren't up the front. See, I think that they should get a boxing ring and let the leader of Pakistan and the leader of, what was the other one, India?
Yes.
Get in a ring, and whoever wins, wins. Why do we have to kill our kids? Why do we have to arm our children? That's how it should be done. You got to. What do you think?
I think that nations go with their long suit. And
That's-
India's case,
That's an answer I can't process. What's a long suit? I could go out with a microphone.
it's a bridge term.
In the summertime, I'll get a microphone and stop the cars driving by. What's a long suit? And I bet you nobody knows going by. I don't know.
Okay, well, let's ask out there in viewer land, has anyone ever heard the expression to go with your long suit?
No. And I never heard as the crow flies. What does that
Melanie's
mean?
here.
Okay.
Go with your long suit.
In bridge, have you ever played bridge?
No.
So you got four people, you deal out the cards, and there are four suits. Spades, hearts, clubs, diamonds. And, someone plays a card, someone else tries to play a higher card to take that trick of the, and so you have what, up to 13 tricks? So the long suit is the suit that will allow you to keep playing the longest, taking the most number of tricks, because the other side cannot follow suit. That is, you play the diamond, if nobody else has a diamond, you automatically win that trick. So you want to have a long suit where you have a bunch of cards, and then you get in the lead, and then you just drag it out, and the others collapse. Does that make sense to you, what I'm saying there, Eileen?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm not so much a card player, so it's hard for me to, that I don't play the long game. I'm impulsive. I always play the short game.
Yeah. We'll have some counseling sessions about that.
All right.
Because that's why John wants you to teach finance, because that's playing the long suit.
Well, that's what it all comes down to, looking at the long game.
Right.
With the
Good
personal
morning.
finance and realizing you're going to have a very long life.
So Melody's here with us, and somewhere is John. I'm hoping he's going to turn the music off. How are you, Melanie?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. The
Hello, Eileen.
Good morning, Melanie.
Where are you in the world?
I'm on my way.
Oh, you are? Oh, excellent. Well, good
Heading
morning,
there.
sir.
I was going to grab some donuts. Would you like some?
No, I have 4, so you can just skip the donut line.
yeah, get to work,
Get
Eileen.
to work.
All right, I'm on my way. I'm on my way, kid.
All right, so this is City Life Show. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. Eileen Delrossi, the co-host, is on her way to join us. She's been phoning it in, and we have as our guest Melanie Gilbert.
Good morning.
Melanie, I was talking to a friend of mine who was berating me because he
Not you. What?
sees me as a Trump supporter, but he said as long as I read good newspapers, I'd be okay with him. So I wrote back and I said, well, I read the Boston Globe and I read the Little Sun and I know a reporter. And then I said that I thought she was originally from Minnesota, and then I thought about it after I sent that off. And you're from Detroit,
Detroit,
right?
Michigan. That's right.
Yeah.
Motor City, Motown.
Yeah, so,
Did you guys hear the thunder this morning? Did you get thunder out here?
no.
We did not get
Oh
any.
my gosh, I'm waiting for a big rip snorting thunderstorm. But it only did thunder. It didn't really do any heavy rain. I didn't see any lightning. So I guess I'll have to wait for another day.
So,
So I printed off your list and then I walked out of my office without, sat on the printer. So I'm going to have to use your copy to go over your notes this morning.
oh,
But when I brought these donuts, I probably didn't choose wisely because they're messy, so you can't eat them on the air. One is a powdered top, a powdered donut, but it has
Yeah.
the cream filling, the white cream filling, and then
Extra messy?
extra messy, and then the chocolate top donuts have the buttercream, the Boston cream.
Can you lean the box towards the camera because this guy
Oh.
here. Good morning, Miss Gilbert.
We've been waiting to see your donuts. All right.
Oh, I gotta get rid of all the graphics.
They tried that, and they were fresh out of the oven. So let me, where am I? Right here?
Yeah, watch the screen a little higher. There you go. Yummy
So
stuff.
You can see how I'm going to use this little tissue, but here's the cream filled with the white cream.
Okay,
I know. And then I did get a normal donut, which is just a chocolate
okay.
glazed. And then the other two, which I'm not going to pick up, are the Boston creams.
We love food here in Lowell. We love our food. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Melanie. Melanie, earlier this morning, we had a question come up. Back in the 70s and 80s, when you wrote an article and it went into the newspaper or the magazine, it got verified by somebody, the facts in the article. They used to do real-time fact-checking. They'd call you back. They might even, I had one magazine article, they called my neighbor and asked the neighbor a question. So that's how thorough they were. That doesn't happen in 2025, does it?
No, we have to have a chain of custody. I mean, I have to show that I sent the email or the text or the phone call or whatever.
Yeah.
Or we have to have the document, For instance, today's story about the migrants,
Yeah,
we were provided, leaked, a State House email about that the migrants need to move out by June 30th. Now, I had already heard that, but I can't that's for the column. When I want to say I heard it in the halls of power, but there's no document, that belongs in the column, which is spitballing. But for an article, I actually have to have the document. And I got to tell you, I had already written the article, but we couldn't go with it until I got confirmation. And I didn't have confirmation till almost I think it was 3 o'clock. And I got to tell you, I was sweating it because I thought, this is my story. I don't have anything else. So,
That's good to know.
well, I'd like to talk to you about this kind of thing.
Back to the donut for just a second, Cliff. I love donuts that are the size of a hubcap.
and I'm telling you, these hubcaps are lightweight, but they're big. But these are like hockey pucks. So these are the size of a hubcap, but the weight of a hockey puck. So they combine the best of both worlds.
Well, when Eileen gets here, I will imbibe and I will report back.
All right, well, we won't watch you while you eat because it's going to be messy, John.
Please proceed, Cliff.
All right, Cliff, what
So
you
I
got for
read
me?
the editorial this morning.
I did not. What's the editorial this morning?
The National Report puts our housing woes in context. And I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs and was in full accord. And then they said, talked about all red states at varying degrees and listed a bunch of states, including California, that accounted for more than half all construction permits. And then it talked about failing states like Rhode Island,
Really? Oh.
Massachusetts, and then
Well,
it
we are
listed
slow on
New
housing
York,
starts, I
Hawaii,
agree.
and California. Well, is California a failing state, or is it a succeeding state? I thought how do we put California in both categories, or are we thinking of it as all those coastal people and then the people from the central part of the state with a
Well, I can tell you, another article I wrote this week was about housing starts and permits pulled in Lowell. And last year, they exceeded I don't know what their expectations are, but they exceeded the numbers from 2023. They had a high number. I think it was normally they get 20, 25 housing starts, and they had like 80. And some of those were apartment, buildings, like
Yeah.
See, when you
building.
don't need parking, how easy it is to build houses.
Well, there you go. And
and
there's
like
a lot
the
more.
Boston City Council right now is learning to live with creating places with no place to park.
Well, I've been writing on that, John, because I thought it was I'm all about mass transit. We were a one-car family. I ride my bike everywhere in my town. But I don't go
Electric
grocery.
bike or original bike?
Human powered.
Okay.
Human
Electric
powered.
bikes are nice.
Oh, yeah.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, well, they even are thinking about doing e-bikes that have cargo, so you can do the e-bike to the grocery store. But I don't go grocery shopping on my bike. I definitely take a car. And I've been thinking about that. I've been reporting on all these all these projects that there's no on-site parking. Like, it's off-street. And I'm not, 37-unit buildings, 30-unit buildings, that Gorham Street,
Yeah.
that actually has 11 parking spots, and I think they're thinking that if it's a one-bedroom or a studio, they're not going to have kids. But is that a fair assumption?
They're going to have a car.
Well, they're probably going to have a car. Well, I think the assumption was if you're a single person or a couple without children, you're going to do mass transit, or you're going to park in a parking garage, which I don't think there is one around here, is there? Except your parking lot?
About a 10-minute walk.
Yeah, where is it, the early
The
garage?
train station.
Oh, they did talk about that. That's right. Yeah, well, I don't see people doing that at night, after they've gone out to dinner.
Especially
So-
once they go to Market Basket, they have 4 bags of groceries. I'm going to walk home with these.
Well, maybe they're figuring people only buy one bag of grocery because the prices are so high. So maybe that's part of the thing. Oh, I forgot you were there, Eileen. Hello.
I have a question about the permits.
I'm not
is
hearing
it
her
more
anymore.
like commercial pulling building permits, or is it like
It's both.
building onto a house, or
Yeah, it was both. It was housing starts and building permits, which Oh, he's coming over to plug you in. Oh, is that what this was for? Oh.
He's going to go his way.
Okay.
I'm going to do my way. Because that amplifier's not on.
This isn't working, he says. That one's not plugged in or,
Thank you. She's good now.
okay.
Please proceed.
Well, I didn't even buy my first car until I was almost 30, because I lived in Washington, D.C. And then I moved from D.C. to Detroit, and you can't get anywhere in Detroit without a car. And I tried,
You're murdered, right? If you're walking down the street, they're murdered.
well, that's probably another, mostly I got propositioned, because, I couldn't walk to Walgreens from my little loft apartment without people pulling over, and thinking that you were streetwalker. But yeah, I think it depends on where you live. I think I could definitely get by without a car in Washington D.C. and that was before Uber and all that stuff. But if I wanted to leave the city and go someplace, I had to rent a car. And back in those days, you could rent a car when you were under 21. Now you can't. I think you have to be 25 to rent a car. So, yeah, I believe so. I think there was a little bit more mobility sort of built into the equation. Of course, I had a bike way back then, too, and just rode it like a maniac everywhere. But when I moved to Detroit, it's not called the Motor City for nothing. You had to have wheels, so I bought a car. All right, so,
Good deflection.
oh, no, I think
An
we're,
editorial that can't decide what California is.
oh, well, I think there is that sort of romantic, didn't you live in California?
Yes.
And what'd you think?
Well, I voted in Orange County for almost 3 decades.
You were
And-
there that long?
Well, that's
Wow.
that's while I was a resident of California while I was traveling around the world.
Okay.
did you know the Kardashians?
No,
She's just being provocative.
no, I didn't know the Kardashians.
Consider yourself lucky.
But Orange County is kind of conservative.
Yes.
They've separated themselves from LA County. The residents move out of LA County and move to Orange County. It's more rural. It's got a heck of a lot larger number of Vietnamese who I suspect are not as happy with the Democrats as other people might be. So, yeah, I was in a more conservative section of California.
Got 2 comments from the audience. Shh. Please don't mention electric bikes. The officials at City Hall might want a bike program. That's from Jay. Then Bart writes us, pizza first hour, donuts second hours. Loving the food topics. Maybe Cliff could sneak in in this day back in 1847, the donut was invented.
Oh, is that right? Oh.
And
Or is that sort of being facetious?
he
Yes.
does his history stuff. BRD, Big Red Dog, that's Cliff. Is a legend.
He
Thank
is
you
a legend.
for your comments.
And apparently these donuts are legendary too. Oh, I'm glad I could pull my own weight on the donut front, repping Arlington.
Thank you.
It's the morning. We should have scrapple.
Oh my gosh, Scrapple. That's going back. Boy. I don't think I saw Scrapple in the MREs that my daughter brought
Yeah.
home from
How are
her
we spelling Scrapple, Cliff?
SCRA,
PPLE.
yeah. Or for you, PONHAUS.
What? What does that spell?
Ponhas.
Otherwise known as spam.
No,
Fried
scrapple. Scrapple.
Which one, Cliff?
They're the same thing.
Do the Scrapple. Oh yeah, there you go.
Looks like dark spam.
Yeah, exactly. Fried and buttered. Or buttered and fried.
Is it more tasty than spam?
With the butter, I bet it is.
Well, I do it with maple syrup.
Oh
There-
yeah.
There was scrapple long before there was spam.
Was
Or,
Scrapple an Air Force thing, or did your mother make this, or?
I think that's like a rural farm kitchen thing because my great grandparents made Scrapple.
it's Amish.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
Pennsylvania Dutch Scrapple kettle crafted. I don't think that moves very well out with market basket.
I think that's like sauerkraut and kippers, or what do you call them? Sardines. What's chitlins? I think there are these food groups that are very specific. And what was the other thing that I eat that people are like appalled? Sauerkraut is lost. I love sauerkraut. Have you ever had bread where the sauerkraut is baked into the cabbage? It's called
Not
cabbage
yet.
bread.
Not yet.
Right into the middle.
No.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. But
Now,
sardines,
where were you
people.
living when this was, you could get this at a cookout? Where was this?
Well, I grew up in a German family, so when
In
we
Germany?
that's what that's Eastern European.
So
That's
it's a German thing.
those Germans love their sauerkraut. And
That's
their
why they
Brot.
call them krauts, right?
Exactly,
Is that where the
exactly.
kraut thing came from?
Yeah, maybe one of these days I'll bring in
Maybe we'll get in
sauerkraut.
trouble for saying kraut, I don't know.
Sauerkraut and sardines. I never developed a taste for that. My mom loved those things.
Shoe fly pie?
We didn't have shoe fly pie.
Ah,
Where's that from? I know about it, but I don't believe I've ever had it.
that's another Amish thing.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, we're pretty close to the Amish in Michigan, but not
Yeah.
really. But I know about Scrapple.
So,
All right, what else you got on your list there, Cliff?
yeah, well, the Inland Conference Center, your article, it was kind of interesting. All of a sudden, poof, it's going to go away.
Isn't that a shock? I know. And so, a couple interesting things out of that. UMass Lowell didn't speak to this specifically. In fact, they didn't really answer
Yeah.
many of my questions. But my question was, what's the plan, Stan? What are you going to do with that place? And it sounds like it was pretty abrupt, that nobody was really prepared for this to happen. So I think some of it is driven by CCA, the on-site human services provider. They, I wouldn't say they went bankrupt, but they're financially struggling and they were bought out. So they have the contract on the Inland Conference Center as well as 10 other sites. So I wonder if CareSource, who's the Ohio-based company that bought them, is like, yeah, we're not wading into those waters. We're not picking up that contract. Which, as you know, when there are buyouts, the rules kind of change. I don't know legally about the contracts and all that kind of stuff, but there's flexibility in what they enforce or pick up. And so it sounds to me like they said June 30th and that's it. And then they're not picking up that contract. So what will be interesting, and I didn't get confirmation on this, is whether the state is going to continue to pay the $333,000 a month lease to UMass Lowell, even though all the migrants will have moved out as of July 1st, because the lease was through December. So I didn't get clarification from UMass Lowell on whether the state was going to honor that lease and continue to pay that money, which would be like $2.5 million, roughly.
When I saw the article, I couldn't help but think, is Trump going to back an ICE bus up there and send them all back to where they came from?
Well, they're pretty much gone. You know, a lot of the, when, at its peak, it was 700 people.
Because are they here legally?
Those are TPS people, yeah.
What's
They're
what is, I'm sorry.
temporary protected status, which means the government said, come on in. Oh, sorry, I'm just looking at your,
Okay, I understand a little bit.
Witness
Did
the sea-
Mr. Krieger witness the seas rising on the left coast over his 20-year as a resident? Sauerkraut pizza is a question?
oh, that, you
How
know,
about-
now, I like the way you're,
The Primanti brothers. Don't
oh,
know-
wait, I also heard, wait a minute, that reminds me. I heard that a pizza place is going out of town, and I had not eaten there. Hold on, let me find that.
Pizza place was closing
Yeah,
in lovely Lowell?
I believe so, let me
Wow.
look.
But when you
So, Espresso Pizza,
No.
220 Central Street,
yeah.
and in Pittsburgh. But I heard that I gotta call them. I gotta call them today and find out what's up. Espresso
they're
Pizza has been
supposed to
sold.
close?
Okay, no, I'm sorry, not closed, sold. It was sold April 1st.
Well, I want to tell you this little story about espresso pizza.
Is it a good story,
One
John?
of my high school schoolmates, Frank Cavallo, him and his brother Lee, they ran espressos for 1,000 years. And Frank was a big-time banker at Enterprise Bank. He's retired from that now, and he also was affiliated with either UMass Lowell or Middlesex. Pretty smart cookie. But he owned the, so I would see Frank when I went down to get a pizza, and my kid came home, and he told me that they're retiring, and they sold it to the person next door, whoever that might be. So last night was the first night we tried their pizza since it changed hands. And it
Oh,
was
so it's open, it just changed hands on April 1st. Okay.
delicious.
Oh, and
delicious.
okay, and that's where you got the new pizza from, is the new owners.
Yes,
New owner, same old pizza?
delicious.
All right, I need to try that. I've tried just about everything else. I've tried the Cody's beans. I've tried the spinach pie at all the Greek bakeries, including the Athenian restaurant. And now I've got to try the espresso pizza. Yeah, so the migrants are moving out. But most of them have already moved out.
So the state is giving Lowell $102 a day,
104.
$104 a day for each student.
It wasn't that many students, though. I believe it was under 100 students. But yes, it's $104 per day per student. But
So I
Eileen,
tried to think about that. So I said 20 students, that's $2,000 a day. And I don't know how long the school year is, so I made,
180 days.
I'd made a guess at 200 days, 180. Let me go with 200 because it's easier math in my head. So,
But you know what, John, or Cliff, I was just looking at John.
Yeah.
And I'll have to ask Eileen, who's coming in the door now, who's coming in a door I didn't know existed.
I pop up from all hot.
You found the secret squirrel entrance. So,
Since I've locked myself out so much.
so Eileen, the state, when they do the head count of the students in October,
Yes.
what's that day called? There's some, well, anyway, they try to get all the students in their seats on that day because they do the student count, and that determines funding.
Right, October 1st, so it's the
October 1st.
enrollment. It's when the enrollment is due for all the schools. I'm not sure exactly what it's called.
But that is the 104 that the state was giving the migrant students to the district, is that equivalent to what they give all the students? Is that part of the funding, and that's how it breaks down? It's not specific to the migrants, it's just part of the overall funding formula. Each pupil gets a certain amount of,
Right, the per pupil expenditure in Lowell, it's 17,000, a little over
Yeah, so I think
17,000 per
it's-
student. But what's the 104?
That's the migrant, because they're not starting on October 1st. So they're not,
To
technically-
supplemental income.
right, because they weren't counted. And they were probably either came into the district late or came from another district. So sometimes,
It's a game of catch-up.
yeah.
It
right.
always is. Even like a charter school who cannot service a special ed student any longer, and they go to they maybe have to enroll in Lowell public schools, and then it takes about a year. That's why school finance is one of the most complicated things
Right.
ever, that I would never try to touch that or say like, it's not like running a small business or running your own home. Like,
Right.
It's all a game of catch-up at some point.
And then the transfers in. So it looks like a subsidy, but it's really a parity. It's really a financial instrument that they apply to all the students. These are ones that just come in the middle of the year or,
Right, and then it will catch up the
and then it'll
following
catch
year.
up. But they will lose all that money depending on where those students go. If those families, there weren't a lot of LPS students at the Indian Conference Center. There were, out of the 600 to 700 people, more than half of them were children. But of those 300 children, more than half were under the age of 5.
Does the head count on students include newcomer children? It would if they're here in
October.
Lowell Public Schools by October 1st.
Yeah.
If they're afterwards, it gets added to the next year's budget,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah, but I'm just depending on some random article I read in the Lowell Sun.
That rag.
But they're giving, the state is giving $104 a day for these students
Oh,
that come in.
$104, okay.
For
I
the
didn't-
migrant.
Okay, additional. So it's added on to
Is it additional, though? That's a good question. That would have to be something that I look into, because then that would be a
Yeah.
subsidy. But nice to see Gilbert. Miss her on, she and Jerry were fun. What does Delrossi's shirt mean?
Oh, it says hope, fight,
Oh, for breast
cure,
cancer?
yes.
Oh, nice.
For breast cancer.
I figured the pink, but I couldn't see the whole message. Well, thank you. John, you have the best viewers. They're always showering love.
Does anybody know does the head count on students include the newcomers' children?
Well, that's a good question. That's a wrinkle
Yeah.
that I need to look into, because I have to say, I thought the 104 was because they weren't involved in the initial count. But if that's on top of the count, I mean,
It should, and
it
it
shouldn't
should
be.
It should be additional. So I have to think about this when Superintendent Skinner is superintendent, but I know when Joel Boyd was superintendent, they had a funding formula for students.
right.
And it was so much was allotted if they were K through 3. There's reduced lunch, ELL,
So
special
there's
ed.
going to be some where you overestimate and some where you underestimate, but at the end of the day, you hope that it's even. So the question is, when those kids, I think the entire program, and I'm going to do follow-up reporting because there's a lot of threads to pull from this story, including the knock-on effects on all the people who are going to be out of work because the migrants are gone. You know, I mean, the school staffed up with bilingual Haitian language people and ELS or ELA, English language learners,
Yeah, ELL.
or ELL. The state, go ahead, you go ahead.
The state does not care. The only way they get extra money for problems is out of our pockets.
Well, of course.
Well,
They're not ready to bake sale.
most of the students at the end continue to attend the schools from where they left to come to Lowell, right? So Lowell has that maintenance of still providing them bus service to their school,
Well,
that they're
that's-
homeschooled
right.
until the following year, in an effort to avoid the October 1st financials. Yes, so. all right,
Well,
there's-
some of it's,
there's a lot in this. The city had to
Yeah.
cover the cost of transporting them to the districts every day from which they came from. Councilor Dakota had a motion so they could rebid the contract of the transportation. to save money. But there's so many with those small buses, like every time I read the permission to enter.
Yes.
There are just so many of the small vans that they're even outsourcing to.
Right.
So like there's no one contract with an NRT.
And it's hard to know if that's migrant or if that's disabled or that's homeless.
McKinney-Vento.
McKinney-Vento,
And
right.
all homeless are covered under McKinney-Vento.
Right.
So it would be all under McKinney-Vento.
Let's go back about 6 minutes. And talking about the kids in the Inn and Conference and
my
the
gosh.
families. And you made the point,
Is it there?
what did we drop?
So I guess my question is also that, like, if the state, Maura Healy was already here and gave Lowell that money, shouldn't Lowell still have that money?
Well, I don't know if I think the
How it's
June
distributed.
30th is the end of the budget year. So that would be, then that's just going to be cut off so that by the time, I mean, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This story is evolving. I mean, this just broke yesterday that there aren't going to be migrants in the ICC physically in that building, which is where they were all housed for the past almost 18 months. So we're out of luck on that. But a lot of questions about the finances.
But you said that last week they were legal under,
Temporary protected status.
yes.
Right. Well, they're not anymore.
Which has been removed.
Right, but he gave them on a rolling basis, President Trump gave them on a rolling basis, the timeline to get out of the country, self-deport,
Yes.
between April and September. So the ones who haven't already gotten green cards or some sort of protected status outside of TPS have to leave, or, I don't know. Yeah, they're not legal residents anymore, but that's being contested. In fact, he wants the Venezuelans to be out.
Who's the
I just
he?
read that in the paper. Yeah,
Who's the?
President Trump.
President Trump. So there's an article in today's paper, I believe, about the national papers about how the federal judge
In Texas.
struck down the deporting the Venezuelans who are protected under TPS for now.
Hey, I'm gonna grab some airtime here.
Okay, John.
Talk about these announcements. Your microphones are still on, so if you say something, everyone will hear
You'll
you.
live to regret it.
Well, just, this is, if you wanna get rid of your refrigerator, your snow blower, whatever you wanna get rid of, tomorrow's the day.
Oh, right.
TV monitor, refrigerators, $40 each. You can bring a carload of stuff. So I invite you, I gotta shrink this down so it fits.
What
We
do
don't,
they
we
do
can't
with all
see
that?
anything on the
Oh,
screen,
thanks for letting me
John.
know. I gotta press the button a few more times. There we go. So, this is not.
That's a great deal. 60 for a carload, 85 for a van truckload. That's an amazing.
This happening out in Charming, Chelmsford tomorrow. And,
Do you have to be a resident, though?
does not say that.
No, it doesn't. Normally, they say you have to show, you know.
Doesn't say that. So
E-waste, and that's,
I would put my refrigerator in the back of my van, bring it out there and get rid of it. And it's $40. So take your phone out of your pocket, walk over to your screen, take a picture of this, and you can get rid of your snow blower, your air conditioner.
Computers? Oh, electronics, yeah.
yeah, the hard stuff to get rid of.
Right,
that the
because it
city-
has all that lithium and whatever else is in there.
Pretty good stuff. So
Wow.
that's tomorrow from 8 a.m. to noontime, so don't sleep in. Page 2, I'm gonna shrink this down a little bit too. Too much. Okay, Adrian Kimborowitz Memorial Fundraiser is gonna be Saturday, May 3rd, 6 to 11 p.m. at the Bunting Club, 449 Boylston Street in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts. Hope to see you over there. This is pretty good, put on by the Lowell Cops. And it's gonna be Saturday, May 3rd. Shrink it down just a tad. Tufts met Lowell General Hospital, bike safety, I thought it was the Lowell Cops, but I guess Lowell General's doing this. Saturday, May 3rd, 10 to 1 at the bowling alley, 647 Pawtucket Boulevard. You can bring your bike up there. They're gonna have safety stuff to talk about. And if you have questions, take your phone, take a picture of this slide, and you can call Casey Decker and find out more about this stuff. And it's tomorrow. There's a rain date. So if it's raining tomorrow, they're gonna blow it off for a week. But yeah, it's sponsored by the Lowell Police and it looks to be Lowell Fire Department. Jimmy's True Pizza and They have a bunch of sponsors there, so.
Pawtucket Boulevard.
Next year, they're going to be able to hold that at that park, the safety park that they're building in Centerville, right? The St. Louis?
Oh, I
Are
didn't
they
even
building,
know.
the DPW or DPD is building some sort of like, it's going to have roads and.
Neurodivergent?
So
Like,
teach your kid
No, like
how to-
teaching kids how to navigate
ride
the
a bike.
streets, yeah, with
Now-
stop signs and everything.
Lowell Senior Center has lunch 7 days
Oh,
a
this is
week.
my favorite part.
7 days. The only rule is you got to be 60. You can live in Timbuktu. We don't care. And,
Look at this, herb chicken, stuffed shells, chicken breast with rice, mashed potatoes with meatloaf.
Today is the second. We have chicken cutlet sandwich. That's today. If the senior center, get over there around 10:30 with your $2. If you don't have $2, that's okay. Just tell Tara you don't have the money and you can eat
Pulled
for free.
pork? Look at that.
You just got to be 60 or older. This is coming up on Saturday, May 3rd.
Hot going on Saturday.
Beautiful, beautiful event. Points of Light celebration. Now, this happens on the canal between the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Church, that's the Gold Dome one, and St. Patrick's Church, the first Catholic church in Lowell. And there's a canal in between them, and they put these little candles inside lunch bags, and they float them down the canal. It's absolutely beautiful to look at. And campaign kickoff party, fundraiser at Long Meadow Golf Club, 165 Havel Street, Monday, May 5th, 6 to 8 p.m. And that's all my announcements for today. I got like 17, but we don't have time, so that's everything happens around the corner. Thank
Nicely
you.
done, John. Those
Thank
people get a nice little plug from you.
Cinco de Mayo is Aaron
Oh, that's right.
Jennings, right?
Yep.
Do you know what Cinco de Mayo commemorates?
The 5th of May.
The liberation of the 5th of May.
Not exactly.
I'm sure you're ready to inform us.
The defeat of the French Foreign Legion
Exactly.
in Mexico.
And that's what I meant to say.
And I think the hand is involved in that. This severed hand,
Ooh.
which is preserved by the Foreign Legion as part of their tradition.
Where'd the tequila come in? Because everyone goes drinking on Cinco de Mayo.
I don't think the French go out and drink tequila.
All right. Well, it was fabulous to see you all. I'm going to go to my real job.
Have to go to work, you can
Wait,
grab a
wait,
donut on your
but-
way out.
bef-
It's- I
Before you go,
Ooh. What? Am I in trouble?
so you're going to have a school committee meeting next week?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
Any previews?
Did you
I-
put anything on the agenda?
I put a motion on, a daily school student reached out to me, and she wants to make a mental health council almost, so that the students from the middle schools and the high school are able to have a voice in mental health resources.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I really like that motion.
That is a great idea.
So I put that in for the superintendent to work on, and hopefully some of the kids there will come and speak on it. So I look forward to that.
So after I leave here, I'm headed up to Lowell High to meet with Evan, I can't remember their last name, but they're the new show choir teacher. And they won the show choir competition in February. I know,
Like Glee?
exactly. So they came in, Evan came into the program in September, and Andy Dakota used to run that
Oh,
for many
yes.
years. And then they went through a bunch
Yeah.
of transitions where the kids just didn't have good, weren't placing, and the program took a hit. And then Evan comes in, who used to be was a Lowell High grad, and has just turned the program around, and they won a gold. So they need to get what is it, before, when the school committee has people come before them to, bragging rights, what is that called?
That's the,
It's not permission to enter, what is it?
no, it's the Spotlight on Excellence.
Spotlight and Excellence. So I'm going to recommend to Evan that they
That's great.
get in touch with the superintendent or, the district office and get on the
Yeah,
agenda.
I can throw that on, actually. I
Oh.
can send a message to Liam when I get to work.
Can I give Evan your contact information?
Yeah,
Is that okay?
absolutely.
Because then I thought they could come in
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, Yeah,
I was
'cause-
thinking about, I love 2 and 3 and 4 bites of the apple on a story. So I'm going to do a story about them for this weekend about winning the show choir gold medal.
So Eileen, you staying, you going, what are you
I'm-
doing?
I'm
You
gonna
better
head
go.
out,
She's-
But my
she's leaving.
son's grandmother was a huge part of that show choir, Pat Fitzpatrick.
Really?
Yeah, she for a long time before she ended up passing.
So
Oh, yes.
Eileen, consider a Ziploc, which is
Ooh,
over in the
a
chair,
Oh, that's a good idea. See,
and
this
grab a
place
donut
is-
to go.
So, Eileen,
Yes, hon.
so I want to give kudos to Jen Myers.
Yes,
I
she's great.
I sent her an email with 2 questions. She got back in an hour.
She is super
Ga-
responsive.
Gave me who to talk to on one question and promised to research the other question.
Can I just tell you about Jen? When I send an email to Jen and I say, I have 3 questions, and then I say my deadline's by 4, she not only answers the questions that I asked, all of them, but she does my deadline by 1. You know, like she's just, and I can't tell you how many people I
That's
reach out to who either don't get back to me or they don't answer the questions, and which is always a red flag, because
Yeah.
then it sounds like you're dodging. Okay, so now you go and grab your donut while we read the notices.
Who's
Did
saying
Melanie-
this? You need to put your stats up, John.
Stats, what's the stats?
You know what you sent us all a few Fridays ago?
Oh, yeah. Did Melanie see a podcast from a guy, Nate Friedman, I exposed, who's getting rich from the migrant crisis in Mass? Check it out. The
I'm going to
tentacles
write it
run
down.
deep.
It's a YouTube or podcast? Oh, I'm sorry, podcast. Okay.
They run deep in the swamp state. We got 3 more I'm going to read, and then we'll go back to you guys. Fundraisers, no city resident is, if it's a city, town sponsored residence is required.
Oh, thank you for that clarification.
One of the Chelmsford schools is hosting a fundraiser, no residents required. Okay.
Which is great because some of them do restrict it, and that's awesome. They should be super busy because of that.
My understanding, if you take federal funds, you can't restrict it to your town. If your
Oh,
town takes any
gotcha.
federal funds, if they paid for a building or whatever, that's why it's open to everybody. Next one, if the last administration enforced the borders over the last 4 years, we would need hotels for people who don't belong here. That's from the original Jay.
Who's the original, Jay?
I don't know. I don't know any of these people. Gary Fresco keeps mentioning a YouTube of me falling down. Oh, yeah, I did.
You did? Well, I
Yeah,
wouldn't
my
want to watch
kids-
that.
My kids, we have all these cameras around the property. And so I was walking and I slipped and fell on ice. I don't have the video, sorry. Eileen just came back around to watch the video.
I did.
John, I wouldn't watch that because that stuff always makes me cringe. It
I
makes me
got
a-
calls from, one undertaker called me from Spain. And he
What?
said, well, I know all these undertakers, I used to have this chat
Oh.
group, so I met all these undertakers from around the world. I get one guy called from Spain, another guy called from the Philippines. and
Because
asked-
they saw the
'Cause they-
video?
yeah.
Were you okay?
I was hurting for sure.
But you didn't break anything.
I didn't break anything, but my kids put it on the internet, it got like way too many views.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know your YouTube videos of the flyovers of the homeless camps?
Yes.
Got a ton. Bye-bye. See you next time.
Bye, Eileen.
I thought he was saying that your show was failing when I looked at it.
Oh.
Oh, that's why I said, get this.
Well, oftentimes I tell them if it's boring, you can just call in and we'll do like a mutual thing, but he doesn't want to do that yet. We'll see. Thanks, Eileen. Have a good weekend. See you Monday.
So John, so this is the front door to your property here?
Which is
Where-
almost never used.
Never used. No, Eileen came in through there. I was like trying to figure out where does that, so that's, okay.
Well,
So
it's
the
like
house
what-
originally was probably facing
Well-
land that way.
There used to be a step up to actually get in your wagon because it was horse and buggy days. So they had a
right.
step up in granite so that would help the ladies get into the buggy. And it's about 200 years old, the house. So it's
This house?
Yeah.
Wow.
older than dirt.
Now I feel young.
Yes. So please proceed, Cliff. Sorry.
All right, Cliff, what's next?
We'll pass over the next item because Eileen left. So what book are you reading right now?
I am reading, get this, Diplomacy by Henry Kissinger. But he could have used a good editor, honestly. He repeats himself endlessly. And if you remember that about Kissinger, even in his interviews on TV. First, he talked really slow and in that gravelly voice, and then he talked really slow, like he repeated himself a lot. So he does that in this book, and I was so annoyed by it that I looked up Diplomacy, Henry Kissinger, editor, and there was nothing found. And I thought, well, of course not, because, so it's sort of interesting. And no, I mean, it's really interesting. He's a very smart guy, and he talks about the balance of power and how you have to play weaker states off of bigger states so that bigger states don't get bigger, and forming coalitions, all this kind of stuff. But what I don't like about it is that he only focuses on the might is right. And I think in the modern age, there are nuances in power, as Elon Musk is finding out. A bunch of anonymous people have tanked his stock. And I think there are balances of power taking place that don't always involve movement of men in military, people in military.
Well, the thing I get
And he doesn't care about any of that. He doesn't care about soft power at all.
the thing I get a boot out of is now's the time to buy Tesla. If you're a stock person,
Oh, the stock?
now's the time to. I'll tell you, the Tesla is the best freaking electric
Yeah,
car
you've talked
I've
about
ever
it,
seen.
yeah.
It drives itself. One of my friends will say, "Well, how could you drive?" We're thinking about going down to watch them make the program called Family Feud. So Ellen and I, that's one of the things we're talking about this summer, and we're going to drive her car down there. And so how would you get there? You have to charge it, and you can tell it. Look at, we're going to drive to Atlanta, and we're going to stop and charge the car here and there. Bring us there, and it will pull into charging stations and
Right.
you don't have to do anything.
Do they give you a list of charging stations?
You can get that on the internet, but the car knows.
Oh, really?
You just tell the car, and the car will just drive you there.
Wow. Okay.
So it's a very
Yeah, I don't know, 71%.
computerized car.
71% stock price is a little tough to come back from, but we'll see.
Oh, yeah, it will.
It's going to be tough,
Oh,
but you're
yeah.
right. Talk about buying the lows. That's pretty low. But I don't know what the stock was. Do you remember what the stock was valued at when it first came out? Because it was at a high of like 400 and,
I'm not a stock guy.
yeah, I'm not either, but
real estate.
$425 or something per share. And now, 70% of that is pretty low. But yeah, so he talks only about hard power, which has always been Kissinger's MO.
Kissinger was, two stories on Kissinger. One of my relatives was in the hospital, the same hospital that Henry Kissinger was in. When Henry Kissinger was feeling better, he went around and visited every room on the floor.
Oh, interesting. Well, I think he was a guy who liked to be seen.
Second
An
story,
extrovert.
flying
Yes.
on the plane. Once the plane got to altitude, he would walk around the plane and say hello to everybody.
I think you could look at that as being charitable, or you could look at that as being egotistical. I mean, when I read Kissinger's book, he's very smug. He's very sure of himself, and he had that, as super interesting, super intelligent, but also super annoying because
how would
it's
you-
his way or the highway.
How would you know he was even on the plane? I think it's pretty cool. If you get a celebrity on the plane, you just walk around and say, Nancy Pelosi does the same thing. People, they chastise Nancy Pelosi. My daughter-in-law works for JetBlue, and she saw her walk around the plane saying hello. to everybody.
Really?
Yeah.
They just do that, I guess. Interesting. I've never been on a plane
Once
with a
the plane
celebrity.
gets to altitude, yeah.
Yeah, huh. Well, that's one way to politic. So what are
Yeah.
you reading?
Oh, I'm reading A Party in Crisis about the Democratic Party. But the interesting thing, it was only available in a print edition,
Not on Kindle?
not on Kindle.
Huh.
So I looked up the publisher.
Is it an old book?
No, brand new.
Oh,
It's been out a couple of weeks.
okay.
So I looked up the publisher on the internet, got a name and an address. It was last Friday, and I wrote to this person, emailed him, and said that I don't like reading the print small. Is there any chance that there's a Kindle version somewhere? And he wrote back and said he would comp me a Kindle version.
Wow.
And Thursday, it showed up.
Good for you.
Free. Now, when he said he was going to comp me, maybe it's because I actually know the author and his wife. So maybe that's how I got it. But I got it. There was a Kindle version out there, and it was made available. So if you're a Kindle reader and you see something you want to read, and it's not, Amazon doesn't have a Kindle version available, write to the publisher and
Oh, that's a really good tip.
see if maybe they have a Kindle version and they just haven't kicked out, or they have the electronic copy that they could turn into a Kindle version.
That's interesting because I didn't think I was going to like Kindles, but I love them for
Yeah.
that reason, because you can blow up stuff and you
Right.
can blow up the maps and, all the photos or whatever graphics they have in there. And then when you highlight, you can highlight in different colors, and you can look at your notes in mass. Like
Yeah.
you can go to the notes feature. It's indispensable. I'm a
And
little
you can email the notes to yourself.
true, and you can take the pictures of
Yeah.
you can print off the maps and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like, it's super useful. And I didn't think I was going to like the Kindle because I kind of like the hard,
Yeah.
the hard copy. And I don't like the idea of them being able to update the version that you have electronically without me knowing,
Yeah.
But I overcome all that. And so now you're reading it on the Kindle.
Right. I'd gotten to page 48 using a magnifying glass.
Well, isn't it everything you already knew about what's wrong with the Democratic Party? Why are you reading about it? Is it self-evident?
It goes in a little more depth into the cultural issues and the how the United States is founded and evolved, and how the Democratic Party has evolved. So I'm not ready to discuss it in detail, but it's out there.
Okay.
And-
Well, I had read a really interesting story that said that in his first election in 2016, Trump did an excellent job of leveraging Facebook, and that they had an entire digital campaign
Yeah.
to capture and the Democratic Party did not do that. That they were still stuck on the whole door knocker, not literally, but in that sort of hard, they were in the hard space, and Trump was in the digital space, and digital space in a big, financially explosive way. And that really changed the name of the game. And by the time the Democrats figured it out, it was too late.
Yeah.
Because he had already bought up all the ad time and already had the penetration into the market. So it's,
Well, in 2024, the Trump campaign did the podcast thing.
oh, right,
And supposedly that's attributed to
his son.
his son Barron, yeah.
Right. Well, I think understanding and leveraging the new channels of communication are important. I mean, at that time, Facebook had been around since what, 2005, 2008, maybe 2008. And so by the time, somebody out there? Oh,
What's the matter?
no, I don't see your phone. Come on in. Come on in. She's going to come back in. She's looking for her phone. She thinks that she might have left it in here. Good eyes, Cliff.
Yeah.
And you were spying her. I don't think she
Peripheral
dropped it on the
vision.
floor.
So, did you see where Tim Walz said that he was selected because he could code talk to white guys?
Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see it. Did you find it?
It's right here.
Where your donut? Oh my gosh, when did you
I was
notice?
concentrating on the donut. This is why I cannot multitask. I cannot multitask. See, it,
Is that why there's powdered donut all up and down the front? I'm joking. I'm totally joking.
Get going to school, kid.
Hi, Eileen.
So, yeah, Tim Walz said that Kamala Harris picked him because he could code talk to white guys.
Well, there's probably truth in that. It's just that that's probably not the way you want to,
As a
talk to people,
as
right?
a Caucasian
Yeah,
male,
right.
I'd like to say, not Tim.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do think the Democratic Party has had a problem with condensation. And I'm not talking about water. I'm talking about, coming at people as if you're too silly or stupid to know better. And here we're going to tell you how it's done. So I think listening to people I'm constantly astounded by how, and I'm in the communication business, so I'm more attuned to this, how bad people are at communicating and making clear what it is that they want without stepping on toes or offending people or coming across as a bully or a do-gooder or, just have a conversation. You don't have to barrage people with stuff. But anyway, in my line of business, communication is the number one thing, and I think that our job is to communicate. So this week, there's been a ton of news to communicate. We actually started with more federal cuts with the Bridge Club. That these things he's got a major grant through the Veterans Administration that's frozen. And
Well, he was here yesterday.
yesterday,
Bob Cox was
Yeah,
here yesterday.
I did not know
And
he
he
was the
said
brother
no.
of John Cox.
He said no. He hasn't had any problems at all.
Oh, well,
And he's trying to get a hold of you. So
he finally connected with me after the story ran.
I think there's a time where politicians should just fade into the sunset, and I don't think that the other guy you were just talking about and Kamala Harris are doing themselves any favors going out in public, and this is how they feel today.
Well, everybody's trying to be hip, and
Well, this
she's
is-
actually a pretty good
this is-
dancer.
I understand, but she's not a good politician. She lost. Goodbye. She should go sit in the back seat. They didn't show Trump dancing when he lost.
Who is
did
she with? Who is
they?
that?
I don't know who it is.
Yeah, I don't either. Okay.
This came out on
This just shows
Facebook
I'm
yesterday,
not.
and they're like,
I'm not
This
into
gal-
celebrities.
she doesn't care. She spent $1 billion on her campaign.
Well, it is pretty.
Doesn't seem to care. I don't know her personally.
Well, I think they all spend a boatload of money, John. I mean, I think it's kind of appalling how much money goes into these.
Well, what did Trump spend? He didn't spend $1 billion.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I'll have to look it up, but I'm sure they
I'll go to
both did.
Google. I'll go to Google. We'll just look that up.
All right, Cliff, what else
So-
you got?
So, the underage drinking issue, the License
you.
Commission's going to talk about that on the 15th.
Do you know what and I'm coming to that
Yeah.
meeting. Do you know what my headline's going to be the day after?
What?
A 14-year-old walks into a bar. I read the,
But we don't have any bars.
right. Well, it's going to be an interesting, I thought Captain Peasley raised a very interesting problem. So just to bring your viewers up to date, the Blue Shamrock was cited for a liquor code violation because there were 2 underage customers in the bar who, at that time that the enforcement officers and police officers walked in, did not have liquor in front of them and were not seen possessing liquor or drinking liquor. So the question became sort of a philosophical issue about whether, put aside the fact that they were underage and their ID was either not scanned or improperly scanned or ignored at the door,
And fake.
and demonstrably fake. So that's a whole different issue. The owner was arguing, well, it doesn't matter if they're underage because they weren't served liquor, and we're not a bar, we're a
Restaurant.
restaurant that has liquor, no different than Applebee's or I don't know, some other place or the Keep or whatever. And so, although they were there, I don't know any family who takes their kids out at 1 o'clock in the morning because it was right before closing time. And so the question became, we're going to have to take a little station break here for John. Trump versus Harris outraises.
5-1.
Yeah, I don't think he only spent,
That's from Forbes. New York Times had a nice article, but then they started asking me my shoe size and where did I buy my nail polish. So I just got out of that one.
so the question is whether, there are a lot of fails in there.
Yeah.
The Liquor Commission talked about
Yeah,
people who-
including the headline for your article.
What was my headline?
I don't remember, but.
Oh, busted, yeah, for,
Nick Petrakis, who was the manager of the Blue Shamrock, said it was an excellent article, but the headline was
well, he was
unfair.
busted. I mean, he was, we probably could have put it in little semi-quotes, but he's not before the Liquor Commission to say howdy do. You know, he's before the Liquor Commission because the police department found a violation. Now, the question of the terms or the outcome of the violation is what's going to be discussed on May 15th. But what's interesting is that the Liquor Commission, at one time, Commissioners Howe and Doherty discussed whether when police officers find a demonstrably underage person drinking or with not drinking, with a false ID, if they should be arrested. And it looks like that's the direction the enforcement's going to have to go if you're pitching yourself as a restaurant and not a bar.
Yeah.
Because how do you adjudicate underage people in that space? Why do we even have doormen then, if it's a restaurant? I mean, the Keep doesn't card people unless they sit down and order, you know. So you're going to get rid of this whole ecosystem of the doorman. And he admitted that. He said, well, my doormen, I think they are all men, my door people missed the fake IDs, but my line of defense is my bartender. And so my bartender, he was alleging, although he did not specifically say that, and he was never questioned on that, whether his bartender did that check with the pen light and all that, but that they were not served. So it's going to put it's going to put a spotlight on a lot of these, what were traditionally bars. Did I turn it off?
No.
Okay.
The thing, looking at the future, because these two young ladies were cited by the police.
They were, the criminally
Not
cited.
arrested.
Right.
But what is going to be the role of the Dean of Students?
Well, this is where I love these stories that aren't one-offs. I love being able to, the second bite of the apple. And so I'm definitely going to be following up on that. If they start arresting people, and I think Captain Peasley might be of a mind to do that. Gosh, you guys, such great viewers, John.
So only
Thank you.
60 seconds left, kids.
Okay, wow.
All right.
Thank you for all that. I love being here, and I love the comments that you both raise and the comments that the viewers make. I mean, it gives me a lot
We
to
love
work
your
with.
donuts.
And, well, I know it's the donuts. Let's
So-
be honest.
No, I'm just kidding. No,
I
you're a
want to
nice
throw
person
something
now.
out real quick.
Okay,
We're facing declining birth rates,
yes.
and that's going to impact a lot of this. And a lot of that is because boys and girls aren't socializing.
That could be. I mean, that could be the rise of the harm of social media that's not really being, they're only communicating online and not in
Digital
person.
addiction that the government is
Oh,
ignoring.
I haven't heard that before. I like that.
It's my term, digital addiction.
I like it, DA. Now I have to add it to AA and NA.
No, digital addiction.
Nobody
It's
would
just-
come, they'd all zoom in.
So we're off the air, and
Are we? Okay.
everybody have a good weekend. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Monday. I gotta see who's coming Monday. Let me look that one up quick.
So how are you doing?
Email me, whoever's coming.
Did you feedback all the?
So you couldn't get in the calendar, Cliff? I sent you the contact.
I didn't see it. I'll have to look for it.
Cinco de Mayo is Monday, and there's just Mike, Fru, Eileen, and you. That's it, so.
Is Eileen on every day?
Eileen comes Monday and Friday.
Oh, gotcha, and you're Monday and Friday? Right. Okay.
But Eileen comes in Monday electronically.
That's good for her. Has she been doing that a long time?
Yeah, years, yeah,
Yeah.
Years.
She's a good egg.
she is.